In this basic walkthrough of all the QuickBooks Online reports, make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out all the links in the description because I have a whole set of QuickBooks tutorials that will help you have a better experience working with QuickBooks Online. Let's start with QuickBooks Online. Most of the times we're going to be in the homepage. The most basic reports are going to be your financial statements. You're going to see that in the profit and loss, balance sheet, that sort of thing. So to go to reports, we're going to click on reports on the left navigation bar. And then in there, you're going to see a section that says favorites. These are going to be the initially favorited reports. If I actually click on those stars, we completely get rid of them and you have no more favorites. So if you want to bring any specific favorites, you go find the report that you want. Let's say I want a profit and loss by month, and I want to do a balance sheet, and I also want to do a statement of cash flows. So I get to pick which reports I want them to be in my favorites. Then to open the report, simply I just click on it. So if I go to balance sheet, it opens up the balance sheet. I'm going to scroll all the way up. First thing you're going to look at is your date range. So you get to pick whichever specific date range for that report you want to use. So let's say you want to do this year, or you want to do this month, and then click on run report, and it changes that date range. If you want to be very specific on the particular day of start and end, you can also pick that, and it will essentially be a custom date range. And then click on run report, and the numbers could change. And you could also change other things like what the columns you want to see. So if I want to do this by week or something like that, click on report, I get to see my report by week. Now I'm going to switch over to the profit and loss report, which is the most common report that most people start with. I'm going to go and click on profit and loss, and then the report is showing my profit and loss by month. I'm going to click on the date range and pick, for example, all of last year. That would be 2023. Click on run report, and essentially we're going to see all the information there. But in this particular company file, I don't have anything for 2023. So I'm going to do this year instead. Let's do this year, and then click on run report, and then we get to see essentially all the information by month. I can collapse the left navigation bar if I want to see more real estate, and I can hit Control plus or Control minus if I want to potentially zoom in and zoom out and see more or less information on the screen. So I zoomed out, so I get to see all 12 months there in one shot. As I mentioned earlier, we can pick the date range, and then we can choose what column classification we want to have. So in this particular case, we have it set up by month, but I can also do by quarter. Click on run report, and instead I get to see 4 quarters. I can do, let's say, by week, and then I'm going to see, of course, a whole bunch of weeks, and then I'm going to have to scroll to the right and to the left to be able to see some information. It's probably not going to be that useful, so I'm going to stick to quarters and click on run. Now, what's also cool about this is you can run a comparative. So if I want to see what the previous quarter looked like or something like that, I click on compare to another period, and then I can click on previous period, click on run report, and then it's going to show me a comparative period next to each of the columns. If I actually do, instead of this year, let's just do this month or something like that, compare this month with the previous month, but we actually don't happen to have one to compare it with. So let's go back to this year here, and let's take away the comparative periods, and let's do a percentage of income. That's a really cool comparative option there. I click on run report, and then we get to see the numbers for each of the columns, and then we get to see what percentage of income that specific expense represents, for example. And I can do all sorts of things. I can do percentage of expense, percentage of row, percentage of column, really kind of depending on what you're trying to achieve. So that's profit and loss reports in a nutshell. Now, once you're looking at a report, you can drill down into any specific number to see what transactions make up that number. So for example, I'm looking at this quarter 3 of 2024. That's $100,000 of revenue. If I click on that, it's going to take me to a different report. It's going to be a detailed report. And you're also going to notice that the report of the screen, the interface looks a little bit different because QuickBooks during 2024 is actually going to go through a transition where you're going to have the classic reports and you're going to have the modern reports. So in this specific case, it started with classic and then it switched over to modern. So depending on when you watch this video, you might be able to do the switch back and forth, or it might be completely on this type of view that you're looking at, which is the modern view. Very similar. I mean, you want to change the report name, you click on the pencil there and you click on whatever information you want to put there on the report name. You can click on custom date range and also do the same thing. This month, this year, custom date range. Put the date range that you want to put in there. These transactions are currently grouped by account. So as you see revenue there, if I collapse that, it collapses that group. But if I click on groups, I can choose how I want to group it. So maybe I don't want to group by account. Maybe I want to group by my customer. I click by name, and now they're going to be grouped by customer. I can expand some of these columns here, and I can collapse each of the customers individually, or I can click on the three little dots and collapse all three little dots, and let me expand this a little bit. So that's kind of a summary report, and then expand all. So different ways of manipulating this report. I could also run filters. If I click on filter, I can choose which accounts I want to filter. So right now I'm filtering only by revenue. So if I pick a different account to filter by, I'm going to see completely different information. And I can add more filters if I want to do maybe a particular customer name or a particular group of customer names. So I can limit it to a couple of my customers if I want to. So if I do that, you're going to see a lot less information in the report. In this particular case, there's just no transactions because I probably happen to pick a couple of customers that don't have any transactions for that period. So I'll just pick a couple more, see if I get lucky. Oh, and okay, and then there it is. It picked a couple of, only a couple of the transactions because it's based on this specific filter that I'm running. I can X out of that, or I can actually click on clear all and clear my filters, and then I'm going to see a bunch of transactions. And I can click on general options, switch from cash to accrual. There's a couple of options here to manipulate the general look and feel of the report. And then if I click on columns, I can choose which of the columns here I want to see or hide. So for example, I have vendor is being hidden. If I click on the I, it opens that. Product and service, if I click on the I, it opens that. Employee, if I click on the I, it opens that. It just kind of gives you an idea. Some of these don't happen to have information on them. Some do. So you start enabling some of these things, and you have to scroll left and right to kind of see the information that's in here. And then if I also want to change it, so for example, I want employee name to be the very first. I'm going to find employee name. Where are you, employee name? Let's find this. Sometimes it's easy to find, sometimes not so easy to find. But let's see if I can find it. One more time, I had just enabled it. And click and drag this all the way to the top. And you make that the first column. And then I'll scroll here to the, oops, I was scroll too fast. Let's go back into this report in modern view. And let's go to columns. And let's go find employee. Click and drag that all the way to the top. And then click on the I to enable it. And then you're going to notice that employee in this case will be the first column. Again, this one doesn't happen to have any information there, but I can make date the first one. And then I can make transaction type the second one. And then you get to see that as I drag these by clicking on those little dots, I get to see the report in whichever order I want. And then if you still have the switch to classic view, you can see the report on classic view, which is the same report, should be the same information. But then if I click on customize, you get similar things like what do you want to group it by. So this is similar to the grouping by that we did earlier, that we grouped it by customer. So you can group this by customer if you want to, and then click on run report. So similar kind of concept here. We can group these transactions by customer, and I can actually also click on customize and filter with for any particular filter. So the functionality at the end, the way the reports will display are going to be very similar, whether you're in modern view or classic view. Just keep in mind that the modern view is where QuickBooks is moving to. So more and more reports are going to be looking like the modern view. I'm going to go back to reports one more time to show you one more thing, which is emailing the report. So once you're in the specific report you want to display and you want to send, for example, we can click on this little envelope button, and then once we click on that, we get to email it. So you can email it to whoever you want, and in this same page you can save it as a PDF or print it. In this screen you can choose whether you want landscape mode or portrait mode, and a couple of options here such as smart page breaks and repeat header. Sometimes they're useful, sometimes not so much, but that's kind of the options there. So you can email from here, print from here, save as a PDF. Other than that, there isn't that many things you can do. If I click on this little gear menu, I can make it more compact or less compact. It's just changes the spacing. This little button here allows me to export to Excel or PDF. So that's certainly a useful option. Or I can add the management reports, which is subject for a different video altogether. But if I happen to be in a sort of modernized version of the report, I didn't show you this part. There's more actions here, so you can email the report, and then there's export and print, so you can save as Excel, CSV, or print as a CSV. Once you customize a report, you can click on Save As, and it creates a custom report. Same thing with Classic View. Once I customize it, I click on, let me X out of this. I click on Save Customization, and I can also save it into customized reports. And then basically how you recall back a customized report is you go back into reports, and then on the top, it says custom reports. You click on custom reports, and you get to see all the reports that have the little custom tag next to it. Actually, all the reports that are here are the ones that have been customized and saved in here. The ones that have the custom tag are actually the modernized reports that have been customized. So from here, you can pick any report that's been customized, and you can run it straight from here if you want to. So again, this happened to be one I had customized before, and that gives you a general idea to how you deal with customized reports. If you're looking for a particular report and you can't find it here, you can use the search box. So for example, let's say I'm looking for summary, something with the word summary. So if I type summary, here's all my reports that have the word summary in it. So here's a pretty quick search for you to find something particular. So let's say I want to do vendor balance summary. There we go. You can also search up here in the general search box. If I type summary, there should be a list of all the reports that have the word summary. So you have tons of options. You go into reports, you can scroll up and down, see the types of reports. If you're still watching this during the first half of 2024, you're going to see some reports say enhanced experience and some don't. Enhanced experience basically means the new modernized look. At some point, second half of 2024, none of these should say that because QuickBooks' plans is to move everything to the new report. So depending on when you're watching this, you might be in this world where there's both a classic view and a regular view. Now I'm going to take a quick second to plug a software that I designed called RightTool. So RightTool is a browser extension that runs in your browser. Right now, as you see a right navigation bar that's blue, and it says RightTool right there. That's once you have it installed. I'm actually going to collapse the left navigation bar because RightTool really is meant for you to use while the left navigation bar is collapsed. And installing RightTool is super easy. I'll put a link in the description. It's righttool.app. So you're going to go to righttool.app, and then you're going to click on where it says download for free, and then it's going to take you to the Google Chrome download page. You're going to have a button on the right that says add to Chrome. You're going to click right there and add to Chrome. It's literally one click. You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to put a credit card. We don't even ask you for your email. You X out of that, and then you go back into QuickBooks and click on refresh, and you should see that RightTool navigation bar pop up, and the left navigation bar gets closed right up. Anyway, there's tons of things that RightTool has. I'm not going to get into all the different things that it has, but specifically when it comes to reports, if you actually click where it says all reports, we have a huge database of all the reports in QuickBooks Online, even some reports that the standard report search cannot find. And I don't know the reasons for that, but we've actually gone in there and we created custom reports, and we have even hidden reports that QuickBooks Online, again, doesn't even show up in the search, and you can find through here. So if you're looking for anything in QuickBooks, let's say, for example, with the word class, if I type class, you get to see all the different options, especially reports by class, and it takes you straight into that report or into that screen. So it works both, the search works both for reports and anything on the screen. But if I click here, sales by class summary, it will take me straight into that report. Now I want to talk about specifically what we've added to QuickBooks Online in the experience with reports. I'm going to click on the little settings button of RightTool. I'm going to go to where it says reports or classic reports, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on all the features for reports. So the way RightTool works is you basically choose what you turn off and on while you're using RightTool. But we have, as you can see here, about 8 or 9 features just as it pertains to reports. I'm going to go ahead and click on save and go back into reports and kind of walk you through all the things that we did. So let me just do here this year and click on run report. So let me actually do a different report. Let's do a profit and loss. That might be easier to use as the example. So first thing you'll see is you see a button here that says run presets. Eventually, what we've done is kind of the annoying part of QuickBooks is when you run a report, you get this set of presets that might not be exactly what you want. So if I go back into the settings button and down here, I'm going to turn them all off and just turn on the presets. You can actually tell it what kind of things you want QuickBooks to kind of enable immediately, including report default report date, default report column, whether you want cash or accrual, default notes. So for example, if you want the printable notes to always say unaudited and you don't want to type it each time, you can do that. If you want it to be collapsed, if you want it to have a comparison next to it. So the report preset, eventually I'm going to click save and go back to the report, is you go and you run a regular report and then you're always sitting here changing dates, changing columns, changing presets. You just click once on run preset and all those settings that you set up will automatically be there, will be there and automatically add all these things that you normally change, they will run straight to preset. The other cool thing that we added is if you're actually going through the report and you do a drill down to any of the detail reports, we actually open a separate tab. That way you don't lose your navigation. So your first tab has your summary report, your second tab has the detail. We like doing that because we don't want you to lose the place that you were. And if for whatever reason you lose the place that you were, we added this really nifty button called jump to last that would actually send you back to the last line where you clicked on something. So it actually keeps track of what you click, just in case you lose your place in the line, you go back into jump to last. So something we're very proud that we did that, because that was actually one of the very much requested features. Now we're going to click on the settings button one more time. I'll turn off preset because you already know how presets work. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on export reports to CSV. And I'm also going to click on exclude headers. I'm going to do hide sub rows, hide sub columns, default print in landscape. And you kind of get the idea of what we're doing here. And then also auto switch to classic view. So if you don't like the modern views, as we were talking about earlier, we get you to automatically auto switch. And then enable right click on classic reports is also really cool. So I'm going to click on save and refresh, go back to the reports, and then show you kind of everything we did here. So we have this little button here that says sub rows. If I click on that, it's going to basically collapse all of the sub accounts. So if I click on sub rows, it does all the collapsing for me. That way I don't have to manually go in there and expand on collapse each one. And it works with multiple layers of the sub accounts too. So this button just quickly expands and collapses the sub rows without completely collapsing the report in such a way that you can't expand and collapse manually. Also, if I do this by class, let's just switch this let's do this by customer maybe, and I click on run report. Sometimes, and I'm also going to remove the comparative here. So we'll remove these comparatives here and click on run report. Okay. Sometimes you're going to have sort of a parent class or a customer job, and you don't want to see the total of the parent. So we click here where it says sub columns, and essentially we get to collapse all the subclasses, sublocations, or customer jobs. That way you basically only get to see the parent, which is actually really, really useful. And then as you have a report with this type of information that you can't get in QuickBooks Online Classic reports, like collapsing those sub rows or those jobs, you can actually export this to a CSV or to a clipboard if you're going to paste it into Excel or paste it into ChatGPT or whatever crazy thing you're going to do with a report. But you can export to a CSV. And I don't know if you remember in the settings, we also have the CSV exclude the headers. That way it just goes straight just for the data that you need, because sometimes the extra headers become not that useful in the first place. So you have this this option to collapse rows, collapse sub columns, and you have a couple of options there that you can that you can cycle through. So all very useful things. Okay, let me switch this back to total only. The other really cool thing that we added here is you can actually right click on any of these numbers. You can right click and open in a new tab. This is something that you don't get with reports currently. For some reason, something strange with the programming doesn't allow you to right click on reports. So what's really cool is we can right click in here and we can open a new tab or a new window. So if you happen to like to right click and open a new tabs, then you have the option to manually open that drill down in a new tab. And notice that it auto switched me in this case to classic view. Notice there's a little button here that says try modern view. I don't know if you notice that little flicker. It actually auto switched me to classic view because before I did that, it actually sent me into modern view. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm gonna go back into the settings and then I'm gonna turn off auto switch to classic view. What I'll do is I'll click on one of these drill downs here and you will notice that once I switch over, it's gonna send me straight into the modern view. I have to manually click on switch to classic view unless I have this turned on RightTool. And just as the settings that you've seen, RightTool is full of just amazing features. I just wanted to show you the report related features that will enhance your QuickBooks Online navigational experience. If you're brand new to QuickBooks Online, I don't recommend RightTool. It's just gonna confuse you more than help you. But if you're a power user, I think the minute you install RightTool, you will notice how your navigational experience, it's enhanced immediately. And it's a free tool. There's a pro version for people that want to do real batching and a bunch of stuff, mostly for accountants. But all the report stuff that I showed you, it's part of the free version. So check that out. Anyway, I hope you like this tutorial about QuickBooks Online reports. I hope you like this little nifty app that we designed, RightTool. And I hope everything about this video makes your QuickBooks Online navigational experience more pleasant. Thank you very much, and I'll see you on the next one.